Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another short little unboxing video to share with you guys. Something from Artisan Cutlery. I don't recognize the name on the box, like the name of the knife, so I'm not sure if they told me they were sending this or not. Either way, I'll link it down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It does help my channel and use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to Artisan Cutlery for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and break this seal here. Just an unboxing today, not a review. So, Artisan Cutlery, a very hit or miss company, and certainly a company, and I'm going to start talking about this a lot more, a company that is very comfortable with, everything that they have been making, and they've got their locks that they like to make, and they kind of just like to stick with the same formula, and probably, and I think they know this too, but probably time to start evolving things. Now watch this be something absolutely wild. Probably time to start evolving certain things. Now here, I do, even if we are going to stick with the same locking systems that we see over, like there's tons of people who are like, it's fine, I like frame locks, that's kind of what I'm used to, and there's tons of people who are like, I hate them, they're not going anywhere. Like we're not going to see frame locks go away, we're not going to see liner locks go away, crossbar locks, we're not going to see plunge locks, like we're still going to see that stuff. I just want to see it less. I want to see other systems, but what, for me, where there's room, if you're going to use one of those, boring locking systems, then make the rest of the knife interesting and appealing in some way, obviously, right? Ooh, what in the heck? Hold on a second. We got to try that again. Okay, I got it. This is a bizarre space. This is a weird hole to put your finger in, is what, I don't know a way around that, right? But as you reverse flick this, it comes up and your finger, okay, I'm getting it now. It was just that first one there was just weird, but I think I just did it in a stupid way. This is a knife that you could, I'm not going to call it a folding kitchen knife, but my test for this kind of thing is if I were to lay this down on a flat surface, can I contact, like if I have the butt end of the knife down, is the first part of the blade that contacts the next thing that contacts after the back end of it, is it cutting edge? And the answer is yes. And the reason why that's important is because if you're doing food prep, not that this is optimized for that or even made for it, I have no idea. But if you're doing food prep, that type of thing is very handy for like chopping and cutting, whatever it is that you're doing. So you could actually use the knife in that way if you wanted to, which is cool. We have a super pronounced front flipper, big, crazy front flipper. It works pretty well. As far as flicking it this way, a little bit odd. This is a little weird. The area of the frame poking up into this big, opening hole. I almost prefer that the way that this was shaped is that it was like cut off right here, that it followed this line, because it makes my finger like want to go up in here, and it's just, like as I open it up, it's just weird sort of slamming into this part right here. I'm also not sure, okay, I guess the way that the reason that they do that is so that the access to the lock bar is a little bit easier to engage with, so they cut this a little bit deeper. It's just it's slightly odd, but I suppose when you're reverse flicking this, if you keep, don't try to come up here, like keep it down here at the back end, and it works just fine. Very, very comfortable, absurdly comfortable knife. Really like I always refer to this as the Spyderco Shaman. It's pronounced shaman, bro. The Spyderco Shaman. I really like how in the Spyderco Shaman we have like half of the choil is the blade, or in this case it's like 1/3 of it is the blade, and the other part is the frame. That's super, super comfortable. It's ridiculous. Jimping, also good. So, I should know the little duck with the leak. I have seen that recently, and now it's skipping my mind here. So this is let's say S35VN. I'm having to like look up into my camera. I believe so. Sorry. I'm going to stand up and look straight down. S35VN. Yeah. So with this being S35VN titanium, even though it is on the larger side, I would still not expect this, or I would prefer and hope that this is not over $200. Probably right about there. We have some holes in here for, aesthetics and probably for weight reduction. Very comfortable, definitely a full-size knife. I would say that this guy is 8, maybe 8.5. Let's see. 8 3/4. No. Yes, 8 3/4. Blade length is coming in at 3.75, and your cutting edge length is actually slightly more than 3.5. So we have this is a great example of what I'm talking about. If you want to do a basic frame lock or liner lock, plunge lock, I prefer plunge locks. Just go away. Liner lock, frame lock, crossbar lock, right? If you want to do that, fine, but you got to do something a little bit weird. I think we can all agree that this is a bit of an unorthodox aesthetic for a knife, but in a cool way. Some people are going to find this incredibly appealing. Other people will hate it. And that's perfectly fine because stuff like this is not made for everybody. But the last thing you want to do in 2025 is release a minimalist. And when I say minimalist, I mean basically long rectangle handle and long triangle blade, right? Minimalist, and it's a titanium frame lock. Like, great. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do is make it look too basic and too straightforward, minimalist, and utilitarian, because not that utilitarian knives are bad, but because we have 40 bajillion, chameleon, bazillion of those things. We have way too many, and there's no way that something like that will get attention or like eyes will ever be drawn to it because it's just not interesting. Whether you love this or hate this, it is a more interesting or a more just off the beaten path aesthetic than what we typically see. Not to say that we've never seen big sheep's footy cleavery knives like this. This is kind of that big stretched out folding. I don't want to say folding kitchen knife because then the comments is going to fill up with people who are like, actually, in order for it to be optimized for food prep, it has to be like, okay, folding kitchen knife, and I'm saying that I'm not trying to claim that it's optimized for that. I'm not a professional in that, that area, right? I'm just saying it's nice that it's capable of that, and in a pinch, like maybe if you're camping or whatever, this could be, EDC or used for a bunch of different things and be kind of okay at that if you need to use it for it. It's not that we have never seen something like this before. We've seen it before, but we see it far less than other aesthetics and other types of blade and frame design. So I think it's pretty cool. As far as like thickness behind the edge, not too bad. Kind of medium, maybe medium light. Where does the stop pin actually hit on this guy in the closed position? Is it all internal? Oh yes, we have a double garage stop. So right here, as we come through, we see there's the stops right there, and then they go under the frame. And they stop in the open position, and they also stop on the frame in the closed position. The reason that that's good is because this plunge grind here, we've all, learned here with a select number of models. Sometimes the closed position stop pin actually contacts the choil area right behind the cutting edge. And the reason that that would be bad is because as you sharpen, as is something that I had to learn over the last couple of years, as you sharpen material away over time, and once you bring the blade back that far, it changes the depth at which the blade contacts the stop pin, and it actually lowers the blade closer and closer and closer to the backspacer or whatever. And then eventually you have potentially cutting edge ramming into a backspacer or a standoff or whatever, which sucks. We don't want to see that. So if it is going to have to stop here, right behind the blade, it needs to stop low enough to where the amount of material that would need to be removed in order for that to actually be a problem would just be an insane amount of material, and you'll never get there. Like for example, if they had a stop pin located like back here, and it contacted the frame like right here, well, the amount of blade you'd need to remove, edge, right? You need to remove to get back to this, just not going to happen in like a normal person's lifetime. So anyways, this is pretty cool. It's a little bit different than what I typically see, and I kind of appreciate what they were going for here. I'm still not sure what I think about this area, but I'll spend some time with it. Oh boy, pocket clip's a little bit stiff. I'll spend some time with it, and then of course return with a full-length review. That's going to be it today. Links for this down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.